I'm going to have our executive panel, I got your name, join us on stage. Just a very brief introduction for everyone. We're grateful again for their support for the summit and throughout the year. So we are joined by Melissa Bartula, who is representing PennDOT's Secretary Granum.
Play one on TV too.
Thank you, Melissa. We are also joined by Acting Secretary Ramez. I knew I was going to do that. Ramez Ziadeh, who is who has served as Executive Deputy Secretary of Programs at the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection since July 2017. He's a professional engineer and has been with DEP since 1994. That's a lifetime. Thank you. I'm just going to thank you for that's a lifetime of service, 28 years. He has extensive experience in environmental permitting, compliance, policy, and regulatory rulemaking. Welcome, Secretary.
Thank you very much.
We also have in the middle Nicole Faraguna.
Faraguna.
That's it.
But yes,
Faraguna. I apologize.
that
I
a lot.
am terrible with names. I
No, you're good.
apologize. She's a director of the Office of Planning and Policy for DCNR. Nicole has served in this capacity since August 2019. She has spent her previous 15 years with the Pennsylvania Land Trust and now We Conserve PA, where she was most recently the Director of Education and Advocacy in support of conservation efforts for nonprofits, local governments, and other state agencies in Philadelphia. Welcome, Director. I am now turning the panel over. We will start with PennDOT and Ms. Bartula.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just want to shout out to Phoebe. Those were great opening remarks to get us started. And I feel for you. My daughter moved to Anchorage in 2020, and I'm afraid she's never going to come back. So I'm with you on that one. So at PennDOT, we spend about $14 million each and every year picking up litter. That's in addition to all the volunteer efforts, and I'll go into that a little bit more later on, and to focus on keeping PA beautiful. We also work, of course, with DEP in everything we do, and the Adopt a Highway and our pickup PA events. So picking up trash, again, you think about that $14 million, not a sustainable way to approach litter problem. Every dollar we spend picking up litter, that's a dollar we're not spending patching potholes or fixing the bridges that we do have. So when we look to the maintenance of our roadways and the importance of that, we really try to leverage that Adopt a Highway program. So with that program, volunteers adopt a section of a roadway and commit to picking up that litter at least twice a year. So typically that's going to be in your spring and fall months. So what we do is we provide the safety vests, we provide the trash bags, work gloves, and we'll dispose of that trash afterwards. Every now and then, I'm sure you've seen the piles of trash bags along the road. Our crews will come back after the fact and then pick those up for those volunteers. So just to put that in perspective, in 2022, we had over 4,400 volunteer groups that adopted 8,600 miles of state highways. That equates to over 108,000 volunteers that collected over 29,000 bags of litter. We also have a Sponsor a Highway program where businesses or organizations can support litter pickups by authorizing third-party vendors along certain sections of roadway, and that sponsoring organization is recognized with the signage of that area. So while we have many near-term initiatives that all of us are doing related to litter work, we do want to transition to that longer-term approach to solving PA's litter problem, which is why we established that statewide litter action plan that was discussed earlier. So the statewide litter action plan reflects the works of over 100 stakeholders. That was a very intensive group. I really thank Natasha Fackler for all that she did with PennDOT's efforts to lead that along the way. So we had representatives from state and local governments, businesses, the legislator themselves, and many more that include both the current initiatives, so what's being done right now to take care of that litter, as well as those recommendations to make to clean up more than 500 million pieces of litter scattered throughout the Commonwealth. 500 million pieces. That really brings that into perspective. So as a Commonwealth, we recognize that the needs to change that behavior, not just clean up the mess. So for example, beyond our cleanup initiatives, PennDOT's analyzing where and how we can ensure that we have the right litter reducing tools in place in our public facing facilities. This summer, the state police, this was important for us, they initiated Operation Clean Sweep, which reinforced a zero tolerance mindset with litter enforcement and shares anti-litter messaging year-round. So we're grateful that this operation is continuing and that they are helping to enforce litter enforcement corridors that we and local governments can designate to combat litter. Many of our sibling agencies have committed to working on anti-litter efforts as well, but we aren't stopping there. Everyone has a responsibility in this fight. So as a state government, we can't do this alone. We also need our local governments. We need our individuals and businesses, and of course we need the state legislators. With this Commonwealth Litter Action Plan, we've also provided examples. I think that's really important on how we can meet this where it's at. Resources, calls to actions, and also what we can do to really make some transformative change right here in PA. So one of the plan's large scale recommendations is that statewide media campaign. You've seen that, you got your shirts as you came in today, the PA Fights Dirty, so we're very happy with that, really starting to work on that behavioral side. So it's really focused on the fact that 85% of the litter in Pennsylvania is 4 inches in size or less, and even smaller pieces of trash not properly disposed of results in 1,000 pieces of litter per roadway mile, so 1,000 per mile. Another exciting update that we have is our new program for cigarette butt disposal at our roadside rest areas and welcome centers. So what we're doing is we're partnering with the Keep PA Beautiful on the program, and we're looking that bring this into fruition where when we think about that, cigarette butts make up 40% of the litter in PA. So we're installing special receptacles at those welcome centers where people can put those butts. We then collect them, we ship them off to the recycling. We heard about that earlier. TerraCycle, where they're actually going to be processed for recycling. So the residual tobacco and the paper are separated out, composted, and then the filter is cleaned, melted, and made into tiny pellets, which can be repurposed into our recycled plastic lumber, which I'm sure you've all seen in the decks, park benches, picnic tables, playground equipment, and more. When you go beyond that within PennDOT, we're also working to use recycled tires to see where we can use that in our asphalt mixes to get a more flexible, durable pavement. And we're also looking to use the store bags, if you will, the plastic bags, and actually incorporate those into pellets, recycle those, get those into our pavements as well as a polymer additive. So we're exploring those different initiatives as well. So you heard talk a little bit earlier about the Gen Z. We're so excited about this. Last week we announced our Young Ambassador programs for Pennsylvania. So this is really another recommendation we got out of the Litter Action Plan. And what it's really seeking to do is to build community stewards. So again, right there at the local level, as we were talking about earlier, and our young civic leaders, by inspiring, engaging, and empowering these young Pennsylvanians to not only keep their communities clean and beautiful, but also become ambassadors in their communities for a shared vision of a clean and beautiful Pennsylvania. So students applied to the program. We got a really great bumper crop, if you will, and they were chosen through a competitive application process. So over 8 months, the program is going to engage students in 10th through 12th grades from diverse socioeconomic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds. So from October through May of 2023, they're going to develop civic leadership skills and experiences to champion and become those advocates for clean and beautiful communities across Pennsylvania. So the fight against litter in Pennsylvania is certainly not over, but I'm so proud of the progress we've made, and I look forward to the momentum that we're continuing to build.
Very nice. So good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Secretary Dunn sends her regrets. She would have loved to be here, but she's pulled in a million directions, as you probably can imagine, as many of us are. I just want to applaud the leadership of PennDOT and DEP on this issue. So DCNR has an important role as well. Our mission is to protect and conserve our natural resources for present and future generations. And certainly litter action, litter prevention is a key component of that. We want to ensure that our outdoor and natural places are safe and clean. So just to, we focus on this from a variety of different perspectives, certainly. Today I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that we're doing. So from an education and engagement perspective, we have incorporated litter prevention and actions really into everything we do. One, and you'll hear more about this later in the program, working to ensure that our frontline workers, our law enforcement officers, have the information, the tools they need, so that when they are communicating with visitors, they can provide good litter prevention education, but also they're enforcing our litter laws. And we're working with DEP and PennDOT to really implement some good training within our law enforcement training programs. And again, you'll hear more about some of the research that's been done along those lines. Signage, social media, environmental education is also really critical. We've had so many new visitors come into our state parks and trails due to COVID, and those numbers continue. And so part of it is educating new people, new to outdoor recreation. And we've been working with our partners to really help them understand what their role is in ensuring that we keep our spaces clean. Our environmental educators are amazing. They do a lot of great work educating all ages of the population on all types of topics. And these programs incorporate litter prevention and particularly Leave No Trace. We are all familiar with Leave No Trace, a national initiative, and it just provides such tremendous ethics when it comes to preserving and protecting our natural areas. From a policy and initiative perspective, we've been doing a lot of work, certainly partnering with Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful, Keep America Beautiful. The tobacco related litter was mentioned earlier. And again, this is small litter that adds up. We've all done these cleanups alongside the road, and this is a piece of litter that we see over and over again, right? So one, trying to educate people on the impacts of tobacco-related litter, and also, trying to understand how we can help prevent it. So these receptacles here certainly make sense. As was noted earlier, we have the recycling component, so portions of that material is being made into some products that go and serve the community. And we're also handing out, portable ashtrays, so that people have easy access, so that they know what their responsibility is when they come to the park, and where to dispose of that material. But we also recognize that it's important to make parts of our parks and trails and forests safer for young people. So we have Young Lungs at Play, which makes our playgrounds tobacco-free. We have 95% of our beaches now are tobacco-free. So it not only makes these places safer, but it also reduces this type of litter. From a policy perspective, we've been really trying to think about how we as a department can lead and reduce our waste from the very start. From a procurement perspective, from an event perspective, which I'm glad to see some of the best practices being implemented here. So there's a lot of things that an agency can do just on a day-to-day basis. And these are things that the policy recognizes. And there's education involved too that will help bring staff in line and help them better understand the reasons why we're putting this policy in place and how to do it. We also have just recently implemented, through this policy, new concessionaire requirements. So this is all about reducing single-use plastic. getting concessionaires to think about compostable material, recyclable material, making sure those materials are composted and recycled in the proper way, and making sure that even food material is composted. And every time we do this on a state park in particular, it's an education opportunity for the public, helping them to see what they can do back at their home. In our reservation system, we have a component where you, as a visitor, you agree to certain permit conditions. And so, of course, one of those permit conditions is saying that, yes, you agree to making sure that you're going to take care of all of your litter. You are going to clean up and leave that space as you left it. Partnerships are just so critical, as is noted in this room today. And I'll mention just a few of them. One is the Pennsylvania Parks and Forest Foundation. We have a tremendous partnership with them. They have friends group across the state, as you know, working in our parks and our state forests. They have helped make sure that we have multilingual signage in our state parks. Again, particularly noting that there are new people coming into our parks, helping them know what their responsibility is and helping them to know where exactly that trash goes. We have friends groups that hand out trash bags to people who are coming to the state parks, which helps them, again, know exactly what their responsibility is. We've partnered with the Fish and Boat Commission on establishing receptacles for reusing fishing line and tackle material. We've partnered with Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful on a number of cleanup projects and events across the state, and we want to see more of them, not just on our state parks, but of course in our community parks as well. We have partnered with scuba organizations to do underwater cleanups, knowing that there is material on the bottom of our lakes. And of course, we are working with PennDOT and DEP to help implement the litter action plan. I just again want to appreciate the leadership, demonstrate our leadership, appreciation for the leadership of DEP and PennDOT, their commitment of their staff, and also the governor for recognizing that this is an important priority. Thank you.
All right, good morning, and thank you all for being here, for having me this morning. My name is Ramez Ziadeh. I'm the acting secretary at DEP, and I am pleased this morning to join my colleagues from PennDOT and DCNR on this wonderful panel. Addressing litter is no easy task, and it takes more than just 3 agencies to change the behavior of littering. For DEP, litter and other illegal methods of disposing waste is an environmental hazard. Plastics do break down and pollute surface waters like rivers, lakes, and streams. Chemicals from electronics and cigarette butts can contaminate soil and groundwater. Also, open burning of waste and refuse can emit toxic chemicals into the air we breathe and cause wildfires. One issue that can lead people to illegally dispose of their trash is usually lack of access to proper disposal facilities. So whether it's littering a coffee cup or dumping trash on the side of a rural road, lack of access to a proper receptacle can be the root cause of litter and dumping. And those of you on the tour yesterday saw that we can prevent litter by having access to proper disposal options. Even small initiatives like the Tiny Can project here in Lancaster help. At DEP, we recognize that many rural areas in Pennsylvania lack access to convenient and affordable waste disposal and recycling services, which leads typically to illegal dumping, open burning, and long-distance transportation of waste to proper disposal and recycling facilities. We also know that litter cleanup is very expensive. There are more than 6,200 illegal dump sites in Pennsylvania, which can cost an average of $3,000 each to clean up. DEP has spent over $1 million last year cleaning up illegal dump sites, and we anticipate spending millions more in the coming few years. So to help people, especially in rural areas that don't have trash or recycling services, we have developed and finalized a rural transfer facilities regulation. This regulation was published in the Pennsylvania Bulletin on Saturday. Yep. This regulation, which was published as final in the Pennsylvania Bulletin on Saturday, authorizes construction and operation of waste transfer facilities in areas where curbside trash and recycling programs are not economically feasible. This action affords 2,200 municipalities more flexibility to obtain the necessary authorizations to operate rural transfer facilities and affords Pennsylvania residents more convenient, reliable, and safe waste disposal methods. Staff from DEP's Bureau of Waste Management will be presenting more information about this effort during the breakout session. DEP has also begun to develop model ordinances to help local governments develop their own litter prevention ordinances, as well as providing local governments with assistance in administering these programs. All sizes of solutions to responsible trash disposal count, whether it's a tiny can project or a newly built rural transfer facility. Litter prevention really is a personal responsibility. DEP will continue to work with our partners at the state and local levels to fight littering and advance the recommendations and strategies outlined in the Litter Action Plan. And I would like to take this opportunity to really thank our partner agencies and our staff at DEP who worked very diligently to put together, develop, and put out this litter action plan. And I would like to thank Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful as well for all your help and your efforts in promoting our work. Thank you very much.
I'm just gonna say thank you again to Ms. Bartula and Secretary Ziadeh and Director Faraguna. Did I get it wrong? I
No,
did get it.
you're good.
Okay. I really practiced while y'all were talking. This is amazing work, and I will tell you, I said I'd been with Keep Pennsylvania Beautiful for a decade. I actually started in Philadelphia in 2007, and we have curbside pickup. So it's dirty in Philly anyway, right? So can you imagine not even having that service at your house, in your community? So that was a big deal. That's huge. So thank you for your presentation this morning. I am now going to bring